Namo Amida
Namo Amida Dharma.
Okay, guys, let's go to the discussion. Okay. So
Okay, you tell me where to begin because I think that we cover until the 6th question. I think that we
yes.
should begin with the 7th one onwards. You tell me if that's correct.
Tell us about the rare chance to be born as human being. And after you finish the presentation, our friends Joshin and Hozan can also ask questions or give a comment. Okay, please.
Yes, Sensei. Okay. So related to this topic, I would say that, as I mentioned in our previous discussion, the human realm, according to Buddhism, it represents a rare equilibrium in between extreme suffering and extreme ecstasy or extreme happiness. You see, so the human realm is considered to be a strategic realm to study the Dharma for basically these reasons. The first reason would be that, as I mentioned, is a good equilibrium in between extreme pain, the extreme pain that is to be found in the 3 evil realms, that will be the hell realm, the preta realm or the hungry ghost realm, and the animal realms. In those realms, suffering is to be found in extreme circumstances that prevent the beings in those realms from hearing the Dharma, you see? So it's very difficult to go to a temple if you are burning in hell, or if you are being chased for your food or your skin, like an animal or a cow, let's say, or some types of mammals. And it's very difficult to concentrate on the Buddha Dharma if you are constantly worrying about water and food. Like, for example, the hungry ghosts that are constantly thirsty. Yes, of course, there are some exceptions, but for the vast majority of these beings, they cannot be helped very efficiently. Okay, so that is why the Buddha Dharma is often preached in the higher realms. That is why the Buddhas often manifest openly, yes, in the human world and the God realms. That is not to say that the Buddhas don't visit the lower realms. Actually, the Mahayana Sutras are very clear in that Buddhas always go to all the realms, including hell, to help beings there. But they cannot preach the Dharma openly there, let's say, because beings there don't pay attention. It's not like they can have a formal temple there in hell, you see. But here in the human realm and in the God's realm, for example, in the case of Ajita or Bodhisattva Maitreya, which is the Buddha Maitreya of the future, he's preaching the Dharma right now as we speak in Tushita heaven, you see, and he's preaching there as a Bodhisattva, and in the future he will come back, he will descend from Tushita heaven and will preach the Dharma here in the human realm. So the higher realms represent a rare chance to hear the Dharma, but specifically the human realm is even more advantageous. Why? It's because we have here the cognitive or the mental capacity to listen to the Dharma and to put it into practice, and we have an advantage over the higher realms, the God's realms and the Asura realms, in that we don't have so much extreme distractions. You see, our lifespans are not, at least not as long as those in the heavenly realms. Yes, some gods have so much distractions, and it's the opposite case as in the lower realms. They have so much, many things to enjoy. So I mean, their lives are like a constant video game. You see, they have all the women, they have all the heavenly mates, heavenly goddesses, they have palaces, they have wine, they have a lot of pleasures, and of course in the Rupa Dhatu they are addicted to meditative states that are unenlightened meditative states. So they have a lot of things that can distract them from the Dharma. Yes, there are many gods that practice the Dharma, but they are not as numerous as the gods that don't pay attention to the Dharma, because there are many gods that they often get distracted. Yes, in many mundane pursuits. Yes, in political things, in taking care of their wealth, they're taking care of their pleasures. So the human realm is a good chance because we have here two things. the mental capacity, the good karma to be reborn in this body, that it is not perfect, but at least it gives us the chance to read a sutra, to pay attention, you see? And even if we live in a dangerous realm, and it is most certainly a very dangerous realm, but at least here we are not being persecuted by fanatical religions, at least not now. We are not being persecuted by the government. So there are many, many things to be said about this. And I will now structure this response because there are many things to be said about this topic. And I will base myself here in the book, the great book, The 4 Profound Thoughts That Turn the Mind Towards Amida Dharma by Yosho Sensei. And let's go to page 18. For those who are watching this video, I want to study along with me. So go to page 18 there, and then you will see the preciousness of human birth. Yes. So this is the first profound thought that turns the mind towards Amida Dharma. Yes. So here we see the Bodhicharya Avatara, or the Bodhisattva way of life by Shantideva, which is a classical of Mahayana literature. And Shantideva says this: this free and well-favored human form is difficult to obtain. Now that you have the chance to realize the full human potential, if you don't make good use of this opportunity, how could you possibly expect to have such a chance in the future again? Okay, so remember, also Shakyamuni Buddha says in the Shigala Sutra, no? Shakyamuni Buddha himself says that it is very difficult to be born as a human being. And Shakyamuni Buddha says, monks, suppose that this great earth were totally covered with water, and a man were to toss a joke, it's a piece of wood, no, with a single hole, there's a piece of wood with a single hole in the water. A wind from the east would push this joke to the west. A wind from the west would push it to the east. A wind from the north would push it to the south. A wind from the south would push it to the north. Okay. And suppose a blind sea turtle were there. And this blind sea turtle would come to the surface of the ocean once every 100 years. Now, what do you think, monks? Would that blind sea turtle coming to the surface once every 100 years stick his neck into the jug with a single hole? Yes. Then the disciples of Shakyamuni Buddha said, "Oh Lord, it would be a sheer coincidence, Lord, that the blind sea turtle coming to the surface once every 100 years would stick his neck into the jug with a single hole." And then Shakyamuni Buddha said, "And just so, it is very, very rare that one attains the human state." So imagine that, no? Shakyamuni Buddha himself gave in this famous parable, no? This is talked in Hinayana, Mahayana, Vajrayana. All the monks and all the great masters always quote this sutra, and they tell people, be careful, it's very difficult, it's very easy to fall into the lower realms, yes, and very difficult to obtain this human form. Okay, I will now go ahead and try to answer this question. There are many things to be said about this, but I want to talk about a list of advantages that we have here. Of course, Yosho Sensei says something that is very clear here. Yes. So we use the words preciousness of human birth, but this does not mean that any life in human form is auspicious from the body's point of view. If we waste our lives in mundane pursuits and we don't pay attention to the Dharma, then this cannot be considered precious. Okay, this must be well understood. Yes. We talk about the preciousness of human birth if we study the Dharma. Yes. If we just go to the human realm and we don't pay attention to the Dharma, even if we create positive karma, this will only lead to the higher realms with some luck, because it's very difficult to go to the higher realms. And we will be still trapped in samsara. Okay? So it's very important to use the birth in the human world for the best thing that it is for. Yes, the best purpose. Yes, the best thing that we can do with this life is to study the Dharma. And of course, study the Amida Dharma, because if we study other Dharma gates that are not suited or adapted to our current present capacities, then we will waste our time. Imagine how many Buddhists study Dharma gates that are not suited for them. Yes, Zen Buddhism is marvelous, or Vajrayana, many great teachings, you see. But if you cannot practice those, then you will waste your human life, and you will try to, let's say, to do an impossible task, and you will not be liberated from samsara in one lifetime. Whereas Amida Dharma is suited for all beings. Yes. So it's very important for us to use this human form, for us to study the primal vow of Amida Buddha and be liberated from samsara once and for all. Okay. It is said that there are 8 freedoms. Yes, we'll talk about these 8 freedoms. Okay, according to the Shastras and Sutras. So the first freedom that we find in the human world is that we are free from the state of being born in hell. Okay, this is a very great advantage. Yes, no matter how hellish our situations are, let me tell you that it is not worse than hell. Hell is, you are constantly being tortured there. Here, are you being tortured now? You are listening to my words. Yes, we are studying the Dharma now. I'm kind of comfy now. So this is, I mean, of course, maybe during the day I will get annoyed by my neighbors that are very noisy, you see, or something like that. But I mean, our life is not that bad. Remember that the human world is considered to be one of the higher realms. And we should consider this. We should always take into consideration there are many beings that suffer way more than we do. You see, so hell, we are free from that. The second freedom is we are free from the preta realm. We are not a hungry ghost now. Yes, even if we are hungry sometimes, I mean, we have at least those of us that are present in this conversation now, we are not malnourished. Yes, we have food in our table, we have access to water. It's good, no? You see, of course, not many human beings that have this capacity, but I would say that many human beings, at least many millions of human beings, there is quite a lot of people, have access to some of the basic necessities. It's good, yes. In the preta realm, almost all of them, yes, are in these bad situations. And even those who are powerful are being constantly obsessed with greed, yes. Here in the human world, there is a lot of ignorance and greed, but at least we see some people that actually care for the poor, yes. We see many good Buddhists, yes, and many other people who are not religious, but they have good karma and they are generous, you see. We are also not animals. Yes, remember how painful would it be to be a cow? Yes, they're constantly being raped. Yeah, they take your daughters and your sons away from you, and they kill them in front of you. You see, so being an animal is tough. You see, at least we can sit here, listen to the Dharma, and we are not being chased by a cheetah, by a lion or something like that. You see, it's good. Yes, we have this advantage. We should always consider this. We are also free from the long-living gods. So we are not a long-living god, you know, enjoying our lives there, wasting our money, our karmic money, let's say, in the casinos of the higher realms. So those guys are wasting their time there, yes, because they will fall from this, and they will fall again to the human realm, and then back into even to hell. Yes, they could fall. Yes, we are not wasting that, wasting our time in the higher realms in mindless meditations or mindless hobbies. No? Also, we are free from the countries where there is no Dharma. Remember, there are many places in the world where the Dharma is not being preached because it is illegal. Yes, many countries in the Middle East. Yes, for example, North Korea. Yes, for example, there are many in the past. No, there used to be many countries. Yes, and Joshua Sensei is a witness to this. When the communist regime were very strong. Yes, the people didn't have religious freedom. You see, so many people were
some religious branches of Christianity, for example, were forbidden during communist era, and also those who practiced yoga were also not allowed. So people were not allowed to publicly practice yoga, for example. And
yes.
Perhaps Buddhism also would not be allowed because they might relate it with yoga, you know. So yes.
So yes,
It would have been very difficult, during communist regime here to practice Buddhism, but in Russia, Buddhism was practiced during communist regime, for example, in USSR. But it depends on the country. Also in the Khmer Rouge, if you know, in Cambodia, they killed many Buddhists.
Many Buddhists, yes.
Many monks and nuns and civilians. You know?
Yes,
so
for example, the example of Tibet as well, no? They killed many monks there. And also throughout history, remember that the great University of Nalanda, many monks were killed there by the Muslim armies. And throughout history.
And
yes, and throughout history, for example, in Europe.
And even now, for example, in Saudi Arabia, there are people interested in Buddhism, but who can't practice openly.
Yeah, maybe they have to hide themselves as well. For example, here in Colombia,
there are some people who wrote to me, yes, and they hide their identity. And they told me to not send them books, Buddhist books in Saudi Arabia. And there were some cases of Buddhist workers in Saudi Arabia who had problems for being Buddhist because they had something with a little Buddha at their neck, you know, like, I don't know how to say it in English. A necklace with a Buddha. There was some cases, yes. Pendant, yes.
Necklace.
There was one case with a Buddhist worker in Saudi Arabia, one in the past. So there are many places where you can't practice Buddhism, yes.
Yes, for example, here in Colombia, many people maybe were interested in Buddhism or Oriental religions, but officially our constitution only allowed people to practice all religions only from 1990. Yes, only 33 years ago. Yes. So yes, I mean, even if it is not legal, there can be many inconveniences in many countries that have a lot of fanatic tendencies. You see, so we should always appreciate the freedom of religion. Yes, we shouldn't take it for granted. Yes, we don't know.
This is exactly why here I collaborate with other Christians, with people from other religions, like Christians, for example, on the matter of religious freedom. We especially had a very good collaboration when the government wanted to shut down churches or limit church attendance or the attendance of religious meetings during so-called COVID pandemic, you know, when because of so-called defending people from a flu, they actually closed many churches and temples. And we at Amida G had a very strong stance, and we said, no, I as a priest did my religious activities as normal. You know?
Yes, indeed it is. It's good for us to protect this freedom because, I mean, we don't know. Sometimes people get crazy, political parties, some religions, they might try to impose, not freedom of religion. So I think we should collaborate with other religious groups as long as we recognize that we are different and we have some things in common. We need to practice our religion in freedom, you see? But we should be very grateful indeed that we were born in an era where we can communicate, yes, through distant countries, yes. If we didn't have this freedom and this internet, for example, I wouldn't have been able to know about Amida G and about Jodo Shinshu, yes. So it's very good for us to to have this opportunity and for us to use the computers, also to read the sutras and use this freedom while we have it, because we don't know, yes, we would like to know, but nobody knows the future now. Well, actually we do, according to Buddhism, and Shakyamuni Buddha said that in the last Dharma age, there will be a time where the Buddha Dharma won't be available openly in the human realm in the future. So we should seize the chance while we have it. You see, it's good for us to seize this opportunity. And we are also talking about the list. Yes, so we are in a country where there is a Dharma. Yes, so we have this freedom. We are free from a country where it is forbidden to practice the Dharma. We are also free from incomplete faculties. So our brain, even if we are not so intelligent, at least we can read, we can write, we can critique, we can ask questions, we have our cognitive faculties, okay, yes, we can see. So many people are blind, for example, or they are hard of hearing, they cannot hear, or they may have some difficult diseases that produce so much pain that they cannot focus on something different than their own pain. So we have a healthy body. Yes, it's good. Yes, even if our health is not perfect, for sure, it is not perfect, but at least we have the capacity to study the Buddha Dharma from time to time. It's good. And we are also free from wrong views. Yes, because remember, even if we have freedom from religion, if we choose to worship a samsaric religion, we will be still trapped in samsara. Why? Because there are, I mean, look around, how many wrong views we see. Yes, the majority of beings in this world, they worship gyalpos, or they worship pretas, or even if they worship some devas, they are samsaric devas. We have wrong views about eternalism, or they don't believe in the law of karma, or they don't believe in the Buddha Dharma and the Buddhas, you see, or they don't have compassion, they have hateful spirits as their guides, as their gurus. So remember, we are also free from that, yes? We have this liberty and we chose to practice the Buddha Dharma. This is almost like a miracle, see? And the eighth freedom is freedom from a state of existence or universe where the Buddha Dharma has not come. This has to be explained. Of course, the Buddhas are constantly helping all the universes, but they sometimes disguise themselves in many forms where they see that the karma of beings is not mature enough for them to openly preach the Dharma. So there are many universes in which the Buddhas cannot preach openly because they have decided that they are not yet ready, you see. In our universe, we are very lucky because we were born only 26 centuries after a Buddha, full-fledged Buddha in human form was born here. Yes, so it's very good that we were born in this auspicious era. Remember that 26 centuries may look like a lot, you see, but actually in the vast expanses of time in samsara, in the many kalpas and eons in this universe, 26 centuries is nothing. 26 centuries is absolutely a minuscule, tiny amount of time. Yes, so it's very good that we were born so close to the birth of a Buddha. Yes.
Can you also tell us about the 10 advantages
yes,
of life in precious human life?
Yes, Joshua Sensei, there are also 10 advantages. I will go through them quickly for us to advance. And then we have also 10 advantages. We have a Buddha has come in the world. Shakyamuni Buddha came. Yes, he has also taught the Dharma. Yes. Then we have the Dharma teachings have survived. And remember that there have been many cases throughout history in which the Buddha Dharma has been threatened. You know, for example, in the case of Nalanda. Thankfully, the University of Nalanda have good connections with China and with Tibet and with other countries. Yes, so the Buddha Dharma was able to survive, especially Vajrayana. Yes, okay. So the Buddha Dharma has survived, of course. Then there are followers of the Buddha Dharma. So there are many people interested in Buddhism in Europe, North America, and this is very good. We also have, there are favorable conditions for listening to the Dharma. You know, remember, we have also, we happen to live in countries where religious freedom is protected, at least as of now. Then we have been born as a human being, because of course, if you are born in all of these amazing conditions, even in the right country, even if the right family, but if you are a cat, if you are I don't know, a hamster, then you won't be able to benefit as much. Yes, you will have to be born, live in a Buddhist home. Yes, and a Buddhist home with people with good views. Yes, with positive views and people who have actual faith in the Dharma. That would be very difficult. So we have been born as humans. 7, being born in a place where the Dharma is available. Remember, if we were born in Saudi Arabia or some countries like North Korea, where religion is banned or forbidden, that will also be unfortunate. Yes. Then 8, being born with the physical and mental faculties intact. So we have good health, our cognitive abilities are good. Yes. Okay, so that is an advantage. Of course, that doesn't mean that people with cognitive disabilities cannot learn the Dharma. They can learn, yes, They may, especially Jodo Shinshu, yes. If they say in an Nembutsu, they can develop they can even develop faith in Amida Buddha, but of course, it would be a little bit more difficult for them because they have to have someone who understands and have some patience with them. No? Then 9, having a karmic predisposition to search for the meaning of life and spiritual fulfillment. And this is very important because if we are born, let's say in United States, yes, temples, all denominations, I don't know, Seattle or one of the great cities there. But we are constantly in the ladies, in the chicks, and we are always thinking about food, and we don't care about what happens to us when we die. It's a waste of time. We have a treasure in front of us. If we don't want to open the box, religion is important to us, and we have asked many questions. Like for example, I know Joshin. I'm pretty sure that Hosan as well. We have tried many different things in our life, many different philosophies and religions, and we have finally arrived at the Buddha Dharma. And 10th, to have faith in the sutras and the words of the Buddha. So, for example, in the case of, for example, these false. Like Alfun, for example, or Uno, or other people who are heretics, yes, they may be even experts in the Buddha Dharma, but they don't have faith in Amida Buddha, and they call Amida Buddha a symbol or a myth, yes? So very bad karma, because you have all of these treasures, and you can practice the Buddha Dharma in this country, you have access to the sutras, but still you have the wrong karma or the evil karma to distort, yes, to distort and profane, use these valuable precious teachings in order for you to expand your own distorted philosophies or evil ideologies. Yes. So in this case, we have been humble and we want to study what was preached by Shakyamuni Buddha. Yes. And we have access to a lineage, for example, Amidaji, in which we try to do our best to go to the sutras themselves and go to the source material. This is very good karma indeed, because see around and see how many Buddhist temples are interested in money, are interested in numbers, or are not interested in the Buddha Dharma. They are interested in psychology, interested in combining Buddhism with other religions, you see? So if you happen to have a temple and you have an interest in Buddhism, you have a hindrance, a possible obstacle that will be the evil karma of distorting the Buddhist teachings and adapting the Buddhist teachings to mundane worldly ideologies. So we don't have that, okay? So it's very good. So we have these 8 advantages, 8 freedoms and 10 advantages. So please meditate upon them. Yes, don't look this only as information, but try to meditate and be grateful that we have the chance to entrust ourselves to Amida Buddha in the middle of this dark age and in the middle of all of these possible disadvantages, and be grateful for all the advantages that we have. Okay, so do you have any questions, dear friends?
Or comments, if you want to say something.
Comments or what you want to say, yes.
Yeah, right now I'm very grateful for the freedom I have here in the United States. I hope it lasts a lot longer. Yeah, I try, like I'm wearing a Buddhist shirt. This morning I woke up very early so I could do laundry at the laundromat. And I always say Nembutsu, I always wear my prayer beads, I always wear a shirt with the Buddha on it or a pendant with the Buddha on it. And even though I don't talk with a lot of the people there, like have conversations, I'm into my own little thing, I try to remember that these people will associate my shirt, my prayer beads, and the Nembutsu in some way or form, the Buddha can use this. And I think that's another thing we can take away with how lucky we are to be born in the Saha realm. Yes, it's a prison. It's a pain in the ass, but it's also an opportunity to share how Amida Buddha has saved us in our next life, and to talk about Amida Buddha to others. Because for a lot of people that hear about Buddhism, it's always about Zen, or it's always about Tibetan forms of Vajrayana. And it wasn't until I was middle-aged that I heard anything about Amitabha Buddha or the Pure Land. So we need to remember, we should take every opportunity, not to be obnoxious. We're not Jehovah's Witnesses or anything, or Mormons. We're not to evangelize, but remember, you are an ambassador for Amitabha Buddha as long as you are living in this realm. It's an important thing to remember, I think.
Yes.
Hosan, do you want to add something? Thank you for that, Joshin. Yes, indeed.
I think I agree with what Joshin said. It's very beautiful what he said. I love the statement.
Thank you.